introduce you to Justin and his mom. They have similar values and believe the same thing. We think you guys would be good friends. It was definitely an arranged marriage now that I'm
On what seems to be a very perfectly knit relationship on social media becomes something that looks like it's going to crumble down, and it's not getting pretty. Recently, Justin Bieber has expressed that he wants to break up with his wife, Hailey Bieber. Now, how did that happen, and why now? Welcome back to another video, everyone, and we've got some really interesting gossip to tell you, and you definitely don't want to miss out on it now. As we previously mentioned, Justin and Hailey might be on the rocks of their marriage, and it seems as though Justin is on the verge of giving up. But for what reason exactly? Well, there's a lot, but before we dive into the details, let's have a little recap of how these two spouses first got together. In 2009, Hailey, a mere fan, met the already rising pop superstar Justin Bieber through the introduction of her father, Steve Baldwin. The two seem to have remained as friends since then, and she has been spotted to have attended the premiere of Justin's biopic, Never Say Never, in New York, and while the two may have known each other for quite a while now, there weren't any signs of them being together. A few months later, Justin confirmed the start of his infamous relationship with Selena Gomez. It gets even more surprising that Hailey Bieber, now wife of Justin Bieber, has also shipped Jelena way before. And it wasn't just once the fans had gathered receipts, it was multiple times. In a tweet, Hailey Baldwin expressed her support for her husband and his ex, saying, "I don't care what anyone says, but Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez together is a definition of a teenage dream. #word." Talk about irony, huh? It wasn't until 2016, after numerous Jelena events and Justin's fiascos, that Justin has confirmed his romance with then Hailey Baldwin. After many people had already been speculating through an Instagram post of the two kissing each other. However, there seemed to be many backtracks, such as Justin and Hailey, in separate interviews, clarify that while they are actually dating, they weren't exclusive, citing tight schedules between the two were not an exclusive couple. He's about to go on tour. Relationships at this age are already complicated, but I don't really like to talk about it because it's between me and him, she explained in an interview with E! Meanwhile, Justin had also expressed the same and said that while Hailey is someone he really loves, he doesn't want to be held down by anything in which he would eventually see 6 months later, as it seems like the two have broken up. By then, Justin had already been dating Sophia Richie and had unfollowed Hailey on Instagram, and it seemed like a messy timeline with the current girlfriend Selena Gomez managing to come into the picture, and had a little social media spat with now Justin had talked to his fans. And while no one had expected it, months later Selena and Justin were then spotted hanging out together, and this time it was eventually for the last time. And with what seemed like a fairy tale twist of events, it was quite unexpected, as Justin and Hailey were spotted hanging out together again and had eventually confirmed their engagement, and then married just a few weeks later. It was all perfect and flawless with what they projected in social media, but little did we know the darker moments that were happening in the background, and some red flags should have warned the two that their marriage was bound to end in some way. Moreover, in an interview with GQ magazine, Justin admitted that it was the first year of their marriage. He felt as though he was walking on eggshells and that everything was tough for them, as he would frequently feel lost about his own happiness and his career path. There was a lot going back to the trauma stuff. There was just a lack of trust. He narrated there were all those things that you don't want to admit to the person that you're with because it's scary. You just don't want to scare them off by saying, "I'm scared." And while Justin had just gone public with that revelation, he was not entirely sure about their marriage. In the first year, Hailey had managed to stay by his side, and he said that she was the one who had helped him regain his focus on where he wants to be in the future. We're just creating these moments for us as a couple, as a family, that we're building these memories, and it's beautiful that we have that to look forward to. Before I didn't have that to look forward to in my life. My home life was unstable. I didn't have a significant other. I did have someone to love. I did have someone to pour into, but now I have that, he said in the same interview. And while that already said much about the state of the relationship, it was apparent that the couple has had issues beyond trust in the first place. It also pertained to Justin being aggressive and abusive towards Hailey, and while both of them have since denied the suspicions, incidents have happened so often that it's quite hard to ignore and let that go as some kind of playful bantering. There was one time when people became suspicious about the real quality of the relationship, when a paparazzi video of Justin slamming the car door right as Hailey was about to get off their SUV went crazy on Twitter. Fans think that it was probably because they recently just argued right before that happened. But some people could not ignore the screaming red flags. When Justin just walked out angrily and didn't even bother to check on his wife, if she was hit or if she was okay. And both Justin and Hailey had not addressed that video, so maybe it really was what it was. Another event that had fans asking questions was when a viral TikTok video the two had managed to surface on the internet. It could be assumed that Justin was yelling at Hailey while being surrounded by their entourage. However, avid believers have managed to come to his defense and said that Justin was merely hyped from the performance. He concluded a few minutes before that seemingly needed interaction, but the body language says otherwise, right? Well, that was just one of many times, and Hailey had to come to clarify what it was actually about. So maybe we could let it slip, I guess. Or maybe we could even go as far as saying that Justin might not be asked over and done with his relationship with Selena Gomez just yet, as Jelena fans are still very much alive on the internet, and they're not people that wouldn't put Selena and Hailey against each other. And with that being said, it has happened numerous times already, but it seems like the two women remain unfazed. Selena has gone to her last resort to tell her fans to stop putting the two of them in that situation again, and Justin is not really keen on hiding it. He still has talked about his relationship with Selena in interviews. He has even once loaded a watch history of him tuning in to Selena and Chef one time. And while we don't entirely know the whole story between Justin and Hailey and what goes on in their marriage, Hailey seems to have been spending a lot of time defending it and trying to repair the abusive image that her relationship with her husband has. In a podcast interview with Demi Lovato, Hailey had cleared the air with all the rumors surrounding their marriage about Justin being too aggressive with her. Instead, she described him as the complete opposite of what people have seen, kind and affectionate. She even said that anyone who knows the real deal with their marriage would most definitely agree on how she sees it. You have to know what the truth is behind everything. There are so many narratives that float around about me, about him, about us together. There is one big fat narrative that goes around. That's like Justin is not nice to her and he mistreats her. It's so far from the truth. It's the complete and utter opposite, she exclaimed. And while we remain clueless on what is really happening with the Biebers, do you think Justin and Hailey will be breaking up soon, or do you think it's all just a huge misunderstanding? Please let us know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to tune in to more of our juicy celebrity gossip videos.